All right, guys, what is up? New episode, Ground and Pound Podcast. I feel like a lot of people have been waiting on this. I want to give a couple shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Landon Graves. I want to give a shout out to um, Cooper. Don't know the last name. I don't know the last name for Steven. Want to give a shout out, new fans. If you guys want to be featured on this, and I'll give shout outs every week now, please go and like the podcast, go and retweet this, or I guess repost it. Do what you need to do. I want to get this thing huge. But thank you to the day one supporters. Thank you to the new supporters. I can't be here without you guys. You guys might be looking for an update on this show. I have now moved to Las Vegas, so this is my new place. We are going to be doing a lot more in-person coverage, which I think is a good thing for everyone. If you guys like this content and you guys aren't listening on X, go follow us at WOC Main. I'm going to be posting a lot more stuff to Instagram. So, we have a couple umbrellas that are on Instagram. So, follow the main account at WOC Main. And then if you guys love MMA, just like we do, just like I assume you guys do because you guys are listening to this podcast, go to our MMA page. I greatly appreciate that. I was at the press conference last night. I thought it was a good press conference. I didn't think it was as wild as it was going to be. I was a little shocked by the calmness of Sean O'Malley, but sometimes if a lion is sleeping, you definitely don't want to wake him up. And in this case, I think that Sean O'Malley knocks out Merab. We'll get into it, but that's my early prediction. And if you guys are listening to this podcast for the first time, you guys are probably thinking that I'm a dick rider. I'm someone that's going to tell you that John Jones is the GOAT. And while I do think that he is, I'm not on the level of Dana. If you guys are a first time listener, I thank you. Thank you for clicking on the podcast. Thank you for listening to this point, even just a couple minutes in. But this is a different type of podcast. I usually have a co host. I'm no longer co hosted on this podcast. I do have a producer, which you guys have met before, Sam. He's a great guy, but he only produces now. So for Sam, he's going to be focusing a lot more on NFL coverage. Switched the business address to Las Vegas. So, there's a lot of things that have gone on behind the scenes that we are now kind of working through. Let's get into the card. Let's get into the press conference. Let's get into what is going on today. I think that the press conference was a great event, as it usually is, because the UFC puts on great events. But it was a lot in Spanish. So if you're an English speaker like me that knows no Spanish, there was times where I sat there and I said, what is going on? And that's fine. I think that speaks the volume and the production of this being Mexican Independence Day. I think that it's a good thing that we have Mexicans all over the card. Dana perfectly handled when they were asking for a raise on the bonuses. I don't think there should be raises on bonuses. I think that we have to earn that as fans and as fighters, honestly. But the press conference could not have gone well, or could not have gone better, I should say. After the event, I did talk to quite a few members of, not members, I guess just fans, walking the streets of Las Vegas Boulevard. And I was asking, what's one sentence that you could use to describe the main event? I heard, the happy dads will be flowing. The redemption party for Eljo is not going to happen this weekend. I asked one fan because I was so overly whelmed with Sean O'Malley quotes. I said, can you just play devil's advocate and give me a Merab quote? And he basically told me, I wish I could. And then he continued to say, I want to be a Merab fan, but Sean O'Malley's too slick, too good. The public is with Sean O'Malley, and I expected that. But Merab's not getting enough love, which worries me in terms of betting. I think that Sean O'Malley is a great fighter, and if he catches Merab, he's putting Merab to sleep. Sean O'Malley did a smart thing. He gave out these hats, Happy Dad hats, sugar on the side for free. So when everyone came out for the press conference, everyone was sitting here looking at the stage with a pink Happy Dad hat on. Merab saw this, and I saw Merab backstage when he was kind of getting flustered, and he was kind of starting to get riled up as he does. I don't think that's the tactic that you can use against a guy like Sean O'Malley. I think that you need to be as calm as possible. And if Sean O'Malley gets out there and he starches Merab, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest. Merab's key to victory is his ground game. I think that if Merab wants to get the victory here, he's got to take Sean to the ground. He cannot be in a striking battle, but that's almost what it seems like he's trying to set up. He's trying to set up this idea that he is this great striker, and I do not understand it. I think that if Merab's smart, there's only one there's only one path to victory here, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to take that path. We'll see on Saturday night, but you guys can see my official predictions and official bets on the Laughing to the Bank podcast that'll be recorded tonight and posted tomorrow. But I don't see this being a good stand-up battle for Merab, and I understand he's great striking, but he's not Sean O'Malley. We'll see what goes on here. I think Sean O'Malley gets a victory. As for the co-main event, and I'm going to go through pretty much all the fights, maybe not all of them, but close to all of them. In the co-main event, we have Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko, the third fight. This is the Ultimate Fighter coaches that are going at it. This is a third title fight between the two. Alexa Grasso is 1-0-1. However, I think she lost the last fight, but that's just me personally. I know she got a 10-8 round in there and retained the belt through a draw, but I think that there's a really good chance that Valentina gets this belt back. What worries me is that Valentina is getting older. And you know what? Age does play a factor in the sport. I wish it didn't, but just like everyone else, once you get to a certain point, you start declining. I don't think Valentina's there. I think Valentina's still the best in the world. I think pound for pound, she should be the second fighter. I think no one's touching Zhang Weili right now, until maybe Tatiana fights her, but that's a different story. Valentina, I think, is the second best fighter in the world right now. And I think she gets the job done on Saturday night. But then I watch this press conference, and she's talking way too nicely, and her and Alexa are hugging on stage. I'm not saying that I don't like it, because I think they just appreciate the competitiveness of each other. But at the same time, that's not the killer that we're used to with Valentina Shevchenko. I think that she needs to get out there, and I think she needs to be a force that we've seen her be. That worries me, but I think Valentina gets this job done this weekend, and I believe she is a betting underdog. I'm checking this right now, but Valentina is pound for pound the second best fighter in the world on the women's side. So why can't she get this job done? What is stopping her? If she goes out there and she blames the judges because Mexican Independence Day, we're screwed. We're screwed on that pick. I think that she needs to go out there. She needs to do her job. And she can easily win 5 rounds if this is the Valentina of the past. So, why am I doubting this? She's a plus 115 underdog. What is going on that makes me think that Valentina doesn't get the job done? Alexa Grasso's power is good for a woman. I don't think it's great. I think that she's precise. Not as precise as Valentina. I think Valentina gets the job done on Saturday night with a flawless performance, barring any injury. And we've never really seen her, injured. We've seen her in fights with Amanda Nunes. She did fine. She didn't win those fights, but she probably shouldn't have. I think this is a fight she should win. I think it's a fight she does win. And I expect Valentina to get her hand raised. And no. And we're returning this thing to Valentina Shevchenko. In the people's main event, we have Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. This is a fight that should have happened at UFC 300. I think it's smart that Brian Ortega didn't take the fight at 300. Obviously, it turned out perfectly for the UFC with Dan Ige. But I'm happy that Ortega didn't hurt himself and put himself into this battle. I think he puts up a great fight this weekend. But I think we're going to hear a lot of Mexican fans cheering at the end of the night. I think Diego Lopez gets this job done. I think we're looking at the next guy that could be in title contention. Obviously, that's not super far-fetched because Mexican fans and Diego Lopez fans will tell you that this has been something that's been coming for a while. Diego Lopez, I think, gets the job done. I think it's going to be a decision victory. I don't think he finishes Ortega in 3 rounds, but Diego Lopez is a force. He's so complete as a fighter. I don't think he has the power necessarily that everyone thinks he does have. But I think Diego Lopez is a very complete fighter. I think that he can get this job done and move on to a possible title shot. Now, this division is a little loaded at the top. Will he need to fight one more time? Maybe. We'll see. But the issue with fighting again is who would you put him against if he beats Brian Ortega? I mean, are you going to give him Volk? I'd hope not. Are you going to give him the loser of Holloway and Topuria? I think loser honestly goes to 155. The issue is if Sean O'Malley wins, does Sean O'Malley move up and try to become double champ? That's very possible. But then you could be setting up a Sean O'Malley versus Diego Lopez main event. And you're not going to tell me that that's not going to be one of the biggest sellers, maybe, of all time. So we'll see what happens. But I think Diego Lopez gets this job done. Zellhuber versus Ribovics. Ribovics, we've seen him finish opponents. We've seen him violently finish opponents. We saw what he did to Terrence McKinney. He's a plus 185 underdog. I don't love that. I don't love thinking that a plus 185 underdog maybe should be the favorite in this event. Usually, if that's the case, Vegas knows something. I don't think Vegas knows anything right now. I think that Ribovics is a very, very game opponent that could get this job done on Saturday night. For Zellhuber, he's a great fighter. Don't get it wrong. I think that he ultimately gets the win. But at minus 225, I'm not throwing him in any parlays. I'm not trusting him to carry me home to a victory. I'm staying away from the fight. But I think ultimately Zellhuber gets the job done. Ode Osbourne versus the Lazy Boy. If you guys watched this event happen on Thursday night, last night, then you guys would know Lazy Boy got heated. Now, I don't speak Spanish. I don't really know what he was saying. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he sparks fans like no one has in a very, very long time. Minus 165, book it. I think that Lazy Boy gets this job done on Saturday night. I think that Ode is a great fighter out of Milwaukee. I think that he has everything that you could want. I just don't see him in the big moment. And I like Ode Osbourne. I think that he's a great dude. I think that he is kind of a victim of wrong place, wrong time with some of his losses. I think that he should be ranked, but he's not. For Lazy Boy, I think that this is the perfect way to start off a main card. Honestly, I don't even see a main card and prelims on this card. I think that everything is just going to be one collective of just an amazing night. Give me Lazy Boy, minus 165. Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. Shout out Big Norm if you guys listen to the Anik and Florian podcast. This is pretty much a pick 'em. I get why Norma Dumont has so much hype behind her, but we're talking about a former title challenger. We're talking about someone that on the feet might be the best in the division. Irene Aldana gets the job done on Saturday night. In front of the Mexican fans, in front of her teammates, Diego Lopez and Alexa Grasso, I think she starts it off with a win. I think Irene Aldana is underappreciated. I think that in the UFC, she's one of the best. She's a top 10 pound for pound woman fighter, in my mind. I think Irene Aldana gets the job done. I think we continue to move forward with this Mexican Independence Day from there. Now we're into the prelims. I'm only going to really highlight 2 fights here. And that's going to be Josh Van versus Chires, I believe is how it's pronounced. But Josh Van being minus 250, I think that that's an appropriate line. I don't think it's enough. Josh Van, I think, is another guy, almost underappreciated. However, I think that this might be his time to show that he is a real contender in the UFC. I think that Josh Van gets the job done. I think that he moves on with a victory, minus 250. I like Josh Van a lot. I think that there's no reason that he cannot continue to move forward. Give me Josh Van minus 250. And then the first fight of the night, Raul Rosas Jr. Everyone loves him. Chewies! I think that he gets the job done. I mean, that's not a very bold prediction. I think he's like minus 1,000. But yeah, he's a minus 1,000 on BetMGM. I think he gets the job done. I think that we move forward with a Raul Rosas Jr. victory. It wouldn't shock me if next year, Mexican Independence Day, we're talking about a title shot. That's how highly I think of Raul Rosas Jr. I think that we're gonna really see him be fast passed in this next year. I know he's young. He's talking about retirement at 25 years old, and he's only 19. He's got time. I kind of like what he brings to the table. I think that him talking about retirement at 25 years old is a power move. People are going to say, that's stupid. How are you going to tell me what he's going to do in 6 years? The UFC knows that they have a star on the making. They know that they need Raul Rosas Jr. to move forward. I think that they fast pass him now. I wouldn't be shocked if his next opponent, top 8. Then he gets one more fight in 2025. Top 3. Barring victories. And then Mexican Independence Day next year, we're talking about Raul Rosas Jr. fighting for the title against whoever it may be. But give me Raul Rosas Jr. in a dominant fashion. Give me a round 1 victory. I don't think we're far off. I think Raul Rosas Jr. is the next big contender. If you guys are in Vegas and you guys are looking for some energy, use Bucked Up. Bucked Up is a proud supporter of this podcast. Use code WINNERS, W1NN3RS, for 20% off your next order. It doesn't matter how big, how small the order is. You guys get 20% off using code WINNERS, W1NN3RS. They've been awesome. I drank one before the press conference last night, and I drank one before the press conference last night. I just had the berry something flavor. I'm sorry, I don't remember the flavor, but it tastes like pina colada. It was awesome. I think Bucked Up is one of the best products out there right now. I think that if you're looking just for energy drink, it's awesome. They do offer low stimulant options, so just 100 milligrams of caffeine. I drank the 200 milligram caffeine last night, and I felt fine. I haven't drank them in a while, if I'm being 100% honest. And last night, it didn't overpower me. So use code WINNERS, W1NN3RS, for 20% off. let's talk a little bit about boxing. Um, Canelo is obviously fighting this weekend with Berlanga. I have some issues with this entire event. However, I think that when you're in Vegas, you can get lost in it. If you're outside, I don't know the appeal, to be honest. I know it's Mexican Independence Day, and it's two Mexican fighters. Canelo's going to kill this guy. I don't think it's close. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I think it's better if there's competitive boxing. But they haven't even put Canelo's face, or Berlanga's face, on the side of the MGM Grand. MGM Grand says, watch on pay-per-view, Viva Mexico, and they only put a face of Canelo. If that doesn't tell you how one-sided this fight is, then I don't know what we're doing. I think Canelo absolutely murders this man. I think that it's not going to be close. Canelo gets another job done, and to be expected, to be honest. I'm going to vent a little bit. This is why boxing is dying. Why the hell is Berlanga fighting Canelo? I think I just said that right. I can't remember. But you guys understand what I'm saying. This is where it goes wrong. Why is Benvenidos not fighting on Mexican Independence Day against Canelo? Tell me. This is where boxing dies. I saw Eddie Hearn. Great guy. Awesome dude. I'm sure he would actually love to put on that fight, because you know what? He's rolling in money if he does that. But we're not going to get it, because Canelo doesn't want it. He wants $200 million. I hope one of these Saudis put the money in, and I'm not even saying that because I want Canelo to lose. I think Canelo could win that fight. I think there's a very good chance that Canelo wins that fight. We're wasting our own time. Canelo needs to fight Benvenidos. This Berlanga fight is bullshit. I think that there's no reason that we're even having it. That's my thought. That's pretty much all I want to talk about for boxing. PFL, need to announce your championship. Time's ticking. The more people that tune into the UFC, the more people get sucked into the UFC. We're wasting time on this. Announce your championship. Bellator, it's not the same. PFL bought them out. Bellator's probably going to be gone. I know they're talking about another PFL versus Bellator Champions event. It's a cool event, but I don't want it. I think it's time for Bellator's course to end. I think that the PFL is the future of that side of the promotion. I think that you just move them into that pay-per-view style events. But Bellator, I'm sorry. I think it's over. If you guys like what you guys have listened to, go over to X at WOCMain. Please comment on this video. If you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple, Spreaker, all the various websites, I thank you guys. Can't do this without you guys. I love you guys. We'll see you guys again on Sunday for a post-fight podcast. You guys will hear my opinion on it. I'm hoping to be there. If you guys want to donate to my fund, go over to PayPal and find Winners Only Club. We have a business account. I'm not asking you guys for money, but if you guys want to donate, that'd be cool. Love you guys. We'll see you guys again on Sunday.